Nam aloha everyone. Welcome to the live stream. And I want to make sure that I have sound. There we go. Nice frame. Okay. Let's just share my screen. There we go. So how is everybody doing? I just realized that exactly now Uranus and Venus are conjunct. I started to feel like this zingy, like my finger was in a socket. And it's like, what's going on? Oh yeah, that Uranus-Venus conjunction. But we want to talk about Pluto today. So if you could put down your astro information and your human design type if you know it, and then where you're logging in from, that would be great so people can see who you are. Okay. So this is the, whoops. We got Virgo. Virgo's anxious here. There we go. Okay, so I wanted to talk about Pluto because I didn't do a video on Pluto moving into Aquarius. And the reason for that, according to the human design system, what I use, if you're new to the channel, then you'll learn more if you watch some of my other videos. So I won't go too much into detail about this. But this is the mandala for human design, or no, this is the Western astrology system right here. I'm looking for the other one. Where is it? Okay. Okay, right here. Let's see. Okay, there we are. I already have it here. Okay. This is the mandala for the human design system. So if you don't have your chart, it's a good idea to have it. You can go to my information box. There's a link to get your free chart. And this is a good thing. I mean, if you follow astrology, this is good too to have your human design chart because it gives you another perspective on what's going on. Okay, so this is the mandala. Okay, so you can see that all these, they're called gates or hexagrams or gene keys if you follow the gene keys too. Right? And so they go, it goes around the sun, all the planets go around this mandala. So right now, Pluto is in the 60th, right? So it's not, how it works in human design is there's cusps. You know, Pluto went into Aquarius, that's how astrology works, 0 degree Aquarius. Well, in human design, it's kind of half in, right? It's half in, so it's still in Capricorn and Aquarius, right? It's like a cusp gate right there. And then it comes in fully into the 41. Okay, and just a sec, I don't have that. I don't have those dates. Just bear with me here. Okay. I just have another slide that I have the dates on so you guys can see the timing here. Okay. Pluto limitation. Oh, there we are. There we are. There. Okay. So this is the human design. So, I mean, Aquarius for astrology, it's in there now, March 23rd, and then it comes out again June 10th. Of this year, okay, and it goes back into Capricorn, and then it moves fully into Aquarius January 20th, 24, okay? So with human design, the big star of the show is the 41. So whenever planets activate this 41, especially the sun every year around January 22nd, 2023, that's the new year according to human design, and that's the start codon that begins a whole new human experience. So you can see the 41 comes off the root. So it's the pressure to begin something new, right? There's the 41 there. So let's look at the dates here. So it's been in this shadow of limitation. 60 is the shadow of limitation, right? The gift of magic realism in the city of justice. So it's been in there since January 16th to September 5th, 2022. And then it moved into the shadow of psychosis, right? And now it's in the middle of the 60. So it doesn't come out of the 60 until April 12th of 2024. And then it goes in April 12th to May 23rd, 24. It dips its toe into the 41. It goes back to the 60 and then back into the 41, right? And then it goes back into the 60 limitation. So the star codon, right? It's like dipping in a few times. And then it fully moves into the 41 on December 6th, 2025 until 2027. Okay, so this is part of too the transition that we're seeing out in the world in the chaos and the break. It's the breaking down, right? It's the breaking down of the Maya. So we got that, and then I'll go into the card because there's the card that goes with this. So you can see, like, if you look at just in terms of astrology, that Pluto being in Capricorn was really the breakdown of the systems, these institutions, right? These institutions. And for 2027, all of these are breaking down. So it's like the Titanic, right? All these institutions, from the cross of planning that we've been in since 1615. It's coming to an end in 2027. That's the iceberg. And all of this is breaking down. And we're seeing that in the world. And this is part of Pluto and Capricorn breaking down these institutions, right? All the Pluto's like squeezing the zit, right? It's like it's not a bad thing. It's bringing up what's already in there. That's toxic, right? That's not aligned with our authenticity. It's not aligned with our evolution of humanity. It's coming up so that we can see it and then we can heal it. And then we can heal it. So we've seen that with our institutions, right? We've seen how corrupt they are so that we can rebuild, right? That was what Pluto and Capricorn has been all about, right? And Pluto in the 60. So let's talk about, so it's really important with codependency. Like let's look at the mandala and we'll look at all the gates that are in the sign of Aquarius. And remember, 60 is a cusp point. It's a cusp point. And it's, right? Ruled like Capricorn rules, Saturn rules Capricorn and Uranus rules Aquarius. So in this position here, what we're in with this 60 is we've got the Capricorn and the Saturn and the Uranus battle, right? So Uranus wants liberation. It wants to move forward. It's all about the future. Saturn is all about the past and traditions, right? The status quo. So there's this battle with us that's going on in humanity. And I liken it to birth, when, if you've given birth, there's the holding muscles and there's the pushing muscles. There's pushing, it's pushing the baby out. And then there's the holding muscles that's keeping the baby in and contained, right? So the holding muscles don't let go until the pushing muscles are strong enough. So you could see it as like us as a spiritual being having human experiences, that we're getting stronger in our spirit, right? We're moving our authority away from external in the past, the way things have been. We're moving more into the future where we have to depend on our soul, on our intuition, right? So that has to get strong enough. And then let's go, right? The holding muscles let go. And then this birth of humanity happens. So you may even be feeling this in yourself, this, the back and forth, the past and the status quo. And I want to feel secure. I want to feel safe. And then no, I'm going for it, right? I'm burning the bridges. I'm just going for it. Screw this. I'm ready to go into the new. And so it's like a pendulum going back and forth. So you can see this in the mandala, right? With the Uranus and in the Saturn right there. And so that's really ruling this 60 right now because it's in the first decan, the decan of Aquarius, which is the like every zodiac sign can be split in like it's 30 degrees, right? From one sign to the next. And then it can be divided into 10. So it gives you more of a focus too. So it's in that first decan of Aquarius. And this makes sense because look at the ruler or the associated card. Now I didn't pick this at random. This is the card that goes with this first decan. You see that? these three. It's the Five of Swords, and this is this conflict with the past and the future, the past and the future, right? And so what's this about? It's all about competition, right? It's about comparing yourself to others, right? Competing with others. This is the old way. But more importantly, it's the inner conflict that's going inside each person, but we're going to see it out in the external world, this conflict, right? It's this conflict. It's the grabbing the power. Who's going to get the power? Who's going to keep the power, right? As we go through this huge mutation. So you may be feeling that yourself, right, inside, and it's just a process. It's just a process. Just let it be. Don't attach to it, right? Things are being worked out inside you, right? All the change and the mutations happening inside us, each one of us. So here's the Aquarius, right? The Aquarius gates here. Hexagrams. This comes from the I Ching. 64 hexagrams in the I Ching. So we've got the 60, the 41. You can see that, the 19, the 13, the 49, and the 30. So this is the shadow of limitation. So Pluto's all about shadow, right? Pluto rules the 8th house. That's our shadow. We have to integrate our shadow in this lifetime. That's what the whole purpose, why we're on the planet. One of the purposes is we're bringing the shadow and light together. We're merging the shadow and light together, right? We're integrating them finally. So we've got the shadow of limitation, right? And that's one of the most important work you can do right now is to integrate your own shadow, which means to face your own fears, right? So we've got the shadow of limitation, that's the 60, right? And this is the fear. Every shadow has a fear, and this is the fear of being restricted and held back, right? And held back by these systems. So the bureaucracy is the perfect example, right? The 41 is the shadow of fantasy. Remember, that's the start codon. This is the fear of humiliation, to actually really face that fear of shame, right? Because humiliation is a flavor of shame. The shame of sharing your dreams, right? Not coming from the ego, but coming from your soul, your dreams. Like, I'll be embarrassed if I share them, right? So this is the shadow of fantasy. Codependence, which is huge, right? We're letting go of codependency. For the cross of the sleeping phoenix, that's what's coming in 2027. The cross of the phoenix is awakening, right? This is the rebirth, the rebirth. And it's interesting with the phoenix too, because it needs its past, right? So this is the Saturn and Uranus battle going on inside each one of us. It's like, the Uranus wants to, like, screw the past, I'm done with it. And then Saturn is like, let's hold on, let's control, let's repress, let's keep things the way they are, or go back to the way things used to be. Because Aquarius is really ruled, the ancient ruler is Saturn. Saturn and Uranus both rule Aquarius. So there's this back and forth going on here. So, but we need both. We need our past, right? Like the phoenix, you need that's been compost. All your experiences have been compost so you can, like, blossom into this beautiful flower, right? So this is what really about the shadow of limitation, right? Which I'll go more into in a sec, is accepting your experiences, that they were perfect for you. They weren't wrong, right? There was no mistake on your spiritual journey, and you're going to be using these experiences. The age of Aquarius is all about your experiences. What have you learned? What have you discovered, right? Through all your experiences in this lifetime, and you're going to be using them as compost, right? To emerge the phoenix, right? From the flames. So letting go of codependency. What's the fear of codependency? This is a huge one, the 19, right? The 19 is going through a mutation. The 19 comes off here, the root chakra right here, right? This is the fear of being alone, right? So that's like, I want to keep this person, this relationship, my money. You can be codependent with your money, you can be codependent with your child, any attachment you have where you're putting something in between you and your relationship with the divine. You're making that thing or object or person or institution your authority, right? They're the expert. I'm going to follow them. I'm going to follow them. And look where they're going. They're going right for that iceberg, right? 2027 is coming closer and closer. So the fear is being alone, like following, and on the spiritual path, you follow your own unique path. It's going to look different for each person. It's not going to be the same, but it has to be unique, which means it's authentic to you. You're not looking outside yourself, the Five of Swords, comparing and competing, and you're in someone else's lane, competing with them. No, you're out of your power then. You got to be in your lane, right? That's where you stay. And that can bring up these feeling of aloneness. How will I survive? Discord is 13, and this is about listening, right? And it's all about the past. 13, you can see, comes off the self, that little yellow thing. That's self-love and direction. Can't escape my past, right? I can't escape this stuff that I went in, the traumas, and right, I need to improve myself more and more, and I've got to go to therapy and this and that, and I'll never escape the past. That's the shadow of discord. And then reaction, another big player, right here is the 49 coming off the solar plexus. This is revolution, the gift of revolution. That's that aspect of Aquarius, right? Social reform and protesting and all that stuff. Reaction, so the fear is rejection. I'll be rejected. And then the last one for Aquarius is the 30, right? And that's desire, the shadow of desire. And the fear is your temptations, your temptations. You fear your temptations. You fear that this desire is coming from my ego, or it's going to trap me in some way, or this is a religious trip too, like to fear your desires, your true soul desires, right? They're just temptations taking me off the path, right? The spiritual path. So you've got that. And then really the cross of the sleeping phoenix that's coming, it's about the liberation of your spirit. So it's happening through this emotional awareness system that's coming online. We've evolved from physical awareness, mental awareness, experiencing life through the mind, and then we're moving into an emotional awareness. That's what we're being triggered now, right? The most Mars in Cancer right now, and Pluto is very emotional too. And what this does, it mutates the solar plexus, right? This is our second brain behind our physical stomach. This is going through a mutation, right? The children born after 2027 will already have this mutation. And then this morphs into spirit awareness. So this is experiencing creation and all other human beings, no separation, all sentient beings. I'm connected to everything. And it's not going to be a mental concept anymore. It's going to be a real live experience. So this is what's coming, right, for 2027. And it's spirit awareness. So it's liberating your spirit, right? So it's burning away what's not authentic to you. So this is what Pluto's helping with, right? It's bringing up stuff that's not authentic to you. It's not you. And what it means to be living as a soul in a body, in a physical body. What does that look like? Right? It's about living to your highest potential. It's about following your unique path that I talked about. And it's living in your full vibration in the present moment. So the cross of planning was all about, I can strategize and I got my 5-year plan and this and that, and that's not going to work anymore. Do you see it in the change? I bet it's hard for you to make a month plan, let alone a 5-year plan because the change is just going to accelerate, right? So this is about coming more into the eternal now. This is spirit awareness, right? So living your full vibration in the present moment, right? What does that look like? This is the cross of the sleeping phoenix. So this is the new way that we have to start to adapt to. The old ways of being are not going to work anymore, right? Using your ego and your mind to make strategies and plans and to make your decisions, it's not going to work anymore. So there's the evolutionary path of awareness. We're moving from the physical to the mental, the mind, to the emotion. These are all planes in how we experience life. To the emotional, and then to frequency vibration, right? So a lot of work is shadow work and inner child work. And this is the 0 to 7-year-old. This is when the emotional body started to develop. That's where all those stuck emotions are coming, right? If people are reacting and they're angry, the anger is from the past. It's not from the present. And the mind will trick you. No, it's because this entity is limiting me. I can't move forward. No, that anger is coming from the past, right? That's where it's coming from. And this is what needs to be cleared. And then we move into the frequency and the vibrational, right? So it's all about working with this emotional body, leaving worm tongue. This is the ego that has a form, right? The voice in your head that you believe is you, right? That's pulling you away from your authenticity, right? Leaving that behind, the mind, and then moving into this felt perception. I'm moving into felt perception. I'm feeling my way through life. But it's not going to be online until you do this emotional work, because as soon as you go, I want to feel my way through life, then you're going to be face to face with the stuck emotions from 0 to 7, right? So do you see how it's important it is to do this inner child work so that you can really be in touch with your power, right, of this feeling, the feeling tone. It's not emotional, it's a feeling tone, right? Okay. So what do I want to say here? I want to say quickly that on my Soul Purpose Activation webinar series, it starts, you still got time to join in, April 2nd to the 8th. And I've got lots of information on my website, so I won't go into it. But it's going to be very powerful. I can feel it. Okay, so there's the 60. This is the transit chart. So if you look at your natal chart, it's just like astrology. But you'll notice there's connections. So I want to focus on this 60 because it's coming off the root chakra. So this is a pressure, right? A pressure to evolve, 60. So it's the shadow of limitation. It's the gift of magic realism, and it's the city of justice. Now, what's interesting about this gate, many things are interesting, and we've been in it for a while. Pluto's been working on us right in that 60 since January 16th, 22, in and out. And we're going to be there until the 2025, this 60. And so Pluto's breaking us out of these limitations, right? And these limitations can go right back to your past lives, not just this lifetime, right? Your ancestral line, this limitations. We can limit ourselves through our thinking, limit ourselves through our belief system, limiting ourselves through just our physical form and our physical health, limit ourselves to our environment, right? And when we go into the signs, you're going to see where it's been working on you. Okay? So this 60, okay, you see this coming off the root chakra. So if you had the 3 natally, then this is going to make a connection for you, right? And it's probably been working on you for a while, the 63, because 60's been there for a while. So you want to look at that, right? You want to look at where you're joining up. So the thing with transits, you have to remember that anything colored in, like this is a transit chart, but when you get your chart, you're going to have colored in squares. Unless you're a reflector, then it's going to be all open. It's energy that's not yours. It's like you're borrowing it, right? So if you've got the 63, that's the channel of mutation, right? So it's like to remember, okay, this isn't me, this channel of mutation, right? I'm just being connected through this transit right now, but you can use it. You can. I'm a projector, right? So I'm all about how you use and harness this energy to move you forward in your evolution. Like you can use it, right? But to know it's not you. It's not permanent. It's not going to be there forever. But what's there forever, in this lifetime anyway, is your natal chart. So this is the channel of mutation. So let's talk about the channel of mutation and give you more information about the 60. So the 60 and the 3, that's the sacral and that's the root. So they would be colored in if you had this, if you actually have this channel natally. So the channel of mutation, this is an individual channel, it's called. So there's three types of channels or circuitry. There's the individual circuitry, right? Less prone to conditioning, right? Genetically, just less prone to conditioning. I'm a pure individual, so I didn't get the memo, right? Was not so prone to drink the Kool-Aid in this lifetime, and it's just, I'm not saying I'm special, it's my design, right? So there's the individual channels, and then there's the collective channels. The collective channels are all about sharing, share with the collective. Like look at Facebook, right? That's all collective. Share. And it doesn't matter who you're sharing with, right? You don't have to have a personal relationship with the people. I'm just sharing. That's what the collective is, right? And then there's the tribal circuitry. So the tribal circuitry is based on bargain. You do this for me and I do this for you, right? There's the exchange. Well, this is what's breaking down. This has all been codependency, has been all, the foundation of it has been tribal consciousness. So this is leaving. So we can see this conflict, the Five of Swords energy out in the world, the tribes, right? Fighting with one another for power. Democrat, Republican, right? Who's going to get the power? Liberal, conservative, who's going to get the power? Just let it be, right? That's just the process of this new transformation. But the tribal circuitry is going. It's being weeded out from humanity. So we're not, that's why a reason why these institutions are going, because these are all based on a bargain, right? And it's all about, I sacrifice my authenticity and my uniqueness for the tribe because the tribe's going to take care of me. Tribe's going to give me a job. Tribe's going to give me my retirement check, right? Things like that. That's all going away. We have to be self-sovereign for the cross of the sleeping phoenix. So, where was I going with that? Okay. Oh, the 60 up here. Okay. So, the channel of mutation, this is very mutative if you have that, if you have this. I know a couple people actually with this one, but one woman in particular I knew had this when I looked at her chart, and she was a friend of mine way back in the day when I first started studying human design. And I would watch her, whatever environment she would move into, chaos. There would be chaos. Right? There would be drama and fighting, and just chaos seemed to follow her wherever she went. Now, she was just being herself, like she wasn't being purposefully provocative, but things would just come out of her mouth that were bullseye, plus her aura. It's in her aura. But what would happen, it would blow up things in a sense, and then things would come into truth. That's what would happen. Like right? It would come into truth, and then great change would happen. So this is the channel of mutation. So it works in a pulse. So if you have individual circuitry, it always comes from melancholy. It all comes with melancholy. It's like chemistry. It's not depression, just kind of melancholy. And when you feel this, especially if you have this channel, know that you're going through a gestation period. So you can feel a little bit low with the 63. Right? Oh, I'm feeling a little bit low, like nothing's happening out here. If you let the mind take over, if you let Wormtongue take over, right? The ego, the voice in your head, he can pathologize it. There's something wrong with you. You better get on antidepressants, and you better do this and try this and stimulate yourself. When in fact, you're just going through a gestation. Right? Something's gestating inside you. A pressure is building, and then the mutation, the mutative energy, right? Just comes out of you, right? So you have no control over it, and this is what drives the mind and the ego crazy. So it works in a pulse. It's off, on, right? So there's no rhythm or cycle you can follow. It happens when it happens. And you create great change around you, right? Just by being you. So you can see here, and this is the 3 is the shadow of chaos, and the 3 is difficulty at the beginning, right? That's the ancient term for the 3rd hexagram, right? So the 60 and the 3, limitation and chaos. So the 60, right, is always looking for what it's not, right? So what it's not. So the 3, yes, it's chaos, but order comes out of chaos. Innovation comes out of chaos. So this can feel like the 60 can feel like you're being held back and you're limited, but there's all this confusion because you're trying to make order out of it. The mind is trying to make order out of it because it's looking for that 3. The 60 is looking for the 3 and it can't find it, right? It doesn't know that there's going to be order, right? After this chaos, after the chaos, the feeling limited, right? That there's light at the end of the tunnel, basically. It doesn't know that, right? The 60 doesn't know that. All it knows is I'm feeling this pressure. I'm feeling held back, and I need to change. I need to see change on the outside world. Need to see change in my environment. I need to see change in my relationships, right? I want order. Right? So Pluto there would just like would blow it up a million times, right? Activating the 60 for so long, and we have been feeling limited, and the external has been reflecting that, right? With the lockdowns and the travel restrictions, the restrictions on what we used to be able to do as humans, right? But it's all coming from this, right? All the change is coming from within right now. So the magic here of the 60 is acceptance, right? So if I can't get, like the ego wants something, I want change, and I'm using my willpower to try to make that happen, and it's not happening, well, I have to accept. This is baseline consciousness right here, is not to fight with reality. It's just to accept it. It doesn't mean to go belly up and feel a victim. I'm limited and I'm in victim consciousness. It's trusting. It's trusting life, that right things are happening. I can't see everything. I'm not omnipotent, right? I'm a human here that I'm just going to accept, right? So it's accepting. If your ego wants to go one way and there's roadblocks, there's roadblock after roadblock after roadblock, then it's about accepting. Right? It's about accepting the things that you can't change, right? You can't change. The serenity prayer, serenity prayer. And so what this morphs into, because with shadow work, it's all about that person is limiting me. This institution is limiting me. Is to bring it back inside. Nobody's doing anything to you, right? It's the inverted world now. We're to go inside now to create change, right? So just to accept that I can't transcend anything until I accept it. And then the transformation starts to happen, but it's not coming from your will. It's not coming from your will at all. And this is the magical realism. This is when you really allow a space for magic to happen, right, in your life. And we all have memory. Right? We all have memory of how magical this earth plane truly is, when the frequency starts to shift, like synchronicities and the numbers, 111, 333, all that stuff. These are like little signs of the magic that's around us. So it's accepting that. So you can really see it's about taking your authority, right? Moving your authority out of this mind and ego and moving it more into your emotions, right? Feeling what's coming up for you. That's the point of Pluto in the 60. Is to bring up all this stuff that I'm being limited, right? And it's like humanity, ego, we've gone as far as we can go in our experiences, our human experiences. And now we're being called, come back home, come back home. That's the soul. Come back home, come back inside, right? Not to be outer reference, but higher self-referenced. So, and then justice. And what justice is the balance. Think of Libra on the scales, right? Justice just is. It just is. There's nothing to change. There's nothing to fix. It just is. The world just is right now. And the ego can't stand to hear that because it wants to believe, it wants you to believe that the ego's doing everything, right? Those people out there, they're doing it. They're doing it to me. And in fact, it just is. Just allow it to unfold, everything to unfold, right? And so that's justice. Okay. Let me look at some comments. I think that's all I wanted to share on that. Now, keep in mind as we move through these gates for Aquarius, I'll do a video. It's going to be a while till we get into the 41, right? 2025. But I'll do another video like April 12th of next year on that, just to remind you. So we want to move from surface of life down to the deeper self, right? That's where we want to live. That's where we want to operate from. It's exciting time. Exciting time. Okay. Let me look at some comments and then we'll go straight into the reading. Okay. Comments. Okay. Satnam Rachel Reed, Massachusetts. Satnam Thomas. And Svetlana. Sorry if I mispronounced that. Dizzy Doodles. That's a great name. Patricia Satnam. Jen Satnam. Andrew. Yeah. Oh, Andrew Keller. That's interesting, eh? Can you speak to being born on the cusp between signs? My birthday is the 21st of May, Gemini, Taurus. Yes. Yeah. That you can relate to both Gemini and Taurus. I was born on May 16th, so that's the third decan, right? It's 20 to 30 degrees. Yeah, 20 to 30, 10, 20, 30. Yeah. In that area. So I'm a late degree Taurus. You'd be really, really late degree. That I relate a lot to the Gemini, right? The Gemini archetype too. That it's not just a one size fits all. And that's, Andrew, that's what's so great about human design. It really embraces your uniqueness. This even goes deeper into your uniqueness, deeper than your sun sign, moon sign, and rising sign. Yeah, so accept that. Right, there we go. There's the magic word, right? Acceptance, accepting of the self. Satnam, Karen, Patricia, Peg fan, Satnam, Robert, Satnam from Nova Scotia. Larissa, Satnam, Rachel Reed, Dania. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. You can relate to that 13, eh? And Pluto's going to be on your 13. Yeah. I'll never transmute my trauma. Has been hard to contend with. So this is the acceptance, right? To just to work with this. This is discord, right? That's your shadow. But it's empathy is your city. So the thing is, we focus too much on our shadow sometimes. Some people not enough. But to bring in the gift, which is empathy, right? To empathy. So bringing that empathy to yourself, Dania. And this is about surrender, right? That's the magic word for the cross of the sleeping phoenix, is surrendering to life, surrendering to your higher self. That the ego in your mind cannot heal you, right? It's the grace of God, the grace of the divine that does the true healing. Yeah. Rachel Reed. Yeah. Do you, Rachel Reed, do you... Sorry about that. My phone call. Okay. 513. No, you would be like a mid Massachusetts, like a mid. It depends on your your degree in Taurus, but you probably be in the mid decan, right? On the 13th. Okay, so grateful, so grateful. So let's dive into the signs for Pluto. So we're talking 20 years, right? So we're in here from June 10th to January 20th for Aquarius, and then it moves out again, right? And then it comes back in the next year in 2024, fully in Aquarius. So what do I want to say about this? So it's going to be something that you've been working on for a long time, just like when Pluto was in Capricorn for 15 years, right? In one placement. Yeah. Okay. So pipe up with your sign when I get to you. And no, that's the wrong one. We want this one here. Okay. And let's start with Pisces. Okay. Let's start with Pisces. So I got my ego cards out too. And okay. So Pisces, we're going to look at Sun and then ascending and then your moon. So it's a good idea to look at your loved ones too, because it will give you more information, what they're working with. This is a great thing about human design and astrology. It gives you so much compassion, right? When you start learning other people, we all have our cross to bear. No one's exempt, right, on the planet. And then you get to help them out. Oh, that's just because, right, Pluto is in your 4th house and you have to deal with your mother issues, right? You'll be able to share, you'll be able to help people, especially if you're a projector, right? When you're invited, though. Okay. I just want to look at something, Mio. There we go. Okay. So let's look at Aries. Aries. So Aries, of course, is the 11th house because that's what rules. Oh, the other thing I wanted to say before we get into Pisces, we got to look at Uranus, right? Because Uranus is the depositor of Aquarius, right? One of them, and Saturn. So we can see that Uranus is in the 2. See that 0? It's like it's another glyph for Uranus, the 0 and the arrow on top, not Mars. 2.4, and that comes off the self. So there's a connection there with the limitation. The limitation is being ruled by the magnetic monopole. That's the 2. So we all have a magnetic monopole within us. And so this is the shadow of being lost. I'm lost. I'm in the wrong relationship. I'm living in the wrong place. I'm in the wrong job. I made a mistake. Wrong, 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 wrong. That's the shadow. The gift is unity. It's unity, that you are on the right path. So the limitation, the shadow of limitation, where you're feeling limited in your life, is actually directing you to where you're supposed to be going. That's the magnetic monopole. So we're born in a time and space, right? Our location. And then we move through. This is the trajectory that we're moving through, which is really an illusion. But we're moving through this trajectory. That's the movie. But your magnetic monopole knows exactly where you're supposed to be going in the movie, right? So this is about relaxing into passenger consciousness. This is the observer. This is the self, the big S self, right? So just to trust, right? I'm trusting that this 2, which is ruling my 60, is taking me into the right direction, taking me where I'm supposed to be going. And I'm not fighting it with my mind and my ego. Even if I don't like what's happening, right, in the world, I'm trusting. Okay, so Aries in the 11th house, what does that mean? Well, limited by friendships, right? So Pluto's in there, right? And we're already getting a taste of it here. Whoops. Look at you, Aries. Aries trying to squeak in there. Okay. Let's Control Z that. And we'll go into Pisces. See, Aries wants to take over, even in this reading. Okay. So Pisces. Control Z all the rest of it. Pisces is the 12th house, right? So Pluto in the shadow of limitation and the zodiac sign of Aquarius is in the 12th house. And this is all about taking out the garbage, taking out your psychic garbage right out of your house, your vehicle. And this is clearing out old and hidden psychic garbage that's in the unconscious. It's been there for a long time. And you finally get rid of it. You can finally get a chance to get rid of it. So these are aspects of yourself that have been buried and you've forgotten a long time ago. You forgot all about them. You buried them down. So it's psychological. And it's why, like psychological, means why do I do what I do? Right? Why do I do these things? Why do I sabotage myself? So in your relationships, you try to hide from them. Right? You try to hide from yourself. This is all going on in the unconscious level. Right? These are the parts of yourself that you were taught were wrong, right? So these could be very authentic to you, but all it takes is a caretaker, a parent to say, I don't like that about you, right? And the child will bury that because the tribal consciousness, I got to go along to get along, right? To survive as a child. So what happens is it follows you because you can't escape yourself, right? It follows you and it leaks out in unexpected ways, right? So the things can undermine you. So you could be like, why did I do that, right? Why did I take that out? Why did I sabotage myself? And you don't know why it's happening. Pluto's going to be activating these patterns, these old self-sabotaging patterns, so that you can finally deal with them. Right? So not ignoring them anymore, right? So you can find yourself, I really intend to be this way in this situation, right? And maybe you're at a job, right? Your workplace. I want to be good. I want to get along, right? Go along, get along. And then suddenly you're like fighting with your boss over something really, really silly or a coworker, right? And it's like, where is this coming from? What I'm consciously thinking, how I want to behave, and how I see myself. My self-image is completely like in conflict with how I'm behaving. It just comes out of me. I don't know where it's coming from. What's coming from deep, deep inside you, right? With this Pluto activation, and it's what's limiting, because you're limiting yourself in a sense, right? Not letting your authenticity come full on. Right? Fully expressed. So, so what you're doing is you'll start reliving your childhood in a sense. So remember, whatever is happening, take ownership, Pisces. And this is an echo from your past, right? That wants to be integrated, that wants to be dealt with. And so you really need to bring compassion. Pisces is compassionate anyway. Compassion to themselves. They're good at giving compassion, but not so good at giving it to themselves. So this is going to activate these hidden parts of you so that you understand, right? Knowledge is power, so you understand, because we can't transcend something until we accept it in ourselves. So to actually look at it honestly, I accept this in myself. Right? And then I can transcend it. Then I can transcend this limitation, right? So it could be, things like even in this lifetime, because we're looking at past lives too in the 12th house, right? And it's all mirrors. It's hard to get in there and understand with the mind, right? So it could be relationships that failed in the past and you didn't process them completely. It could be your childhood that you didn't process completely. And of course, that's where it's going to come from, the 0-7. So you may say to yourself, I'm over it. That's a waste of time to deal with your childhood self. But, my mother was crappy and I moved on. Well, Pluto's going to show you like, no way, because you got hidden resentments and you have anger that you have to deal with that's been leaking out and sabotaging your relationships with anyone that reminds you of your mother, right? That doesn't take much to trigger. And the thing is, you can never escape your parent, even if they're dead, right? Because they'll put that energy, will just like whack-a-mole. They'll just pop up into another person, that frequency, because it wants you to heal. The life and the universe want you to heal. And that person that's playing the role of your parent that died, they have no idea. God works through everybody, right? For your healing, right? So you want to be honest. So it's time to get out the journal. It's time to start asking why, right? Because the Pluto brings up intense emotions. Remember, Pluto's all about getting to the truth. That's all, the truth of who you are. And the other thing is you won't be able to get away with things like you used to, Pisces, right? The consequences from your actions will become like you'll be confronted, right? You'll be confronted, and it's all about this, like, oh, this is a part of me that needs to be integrated. So you don't want to be lashing out and, right, and projecting shadow. It's their problem. I'd have no problem, right? It's like, no, you want to take this inside. So it's going to be really, really intense, the confrontations. And it's all about, so you stop running from yourself. And so Pluto will show you very clearly where you've been unconsciously lying to yourself and to others. And so even if guilt can be a big thing for Pisces to deal with, is guilt. So it can bring these painful feelings out in the open, right? So maybe you're fighting with somebody and you've alienated them, right? And all these feelings are coming up, right? Like shame and guilt, abandonment, jealousy, feeling separated, right? Separated. So whoever's bringing up these painful feelings is not your enemy, because this is the house of hidden enemies. This is not an enemy, right? So Pisces, what you can do with this placement is like project devil onto the angel and project angel onto the devil, right? It's like, it's just to accept the 60, right? Is the magic, is to accept that this limitation, it feels like a limitation, is not actually a limitation. It's taking you to that too, right? To your true self. Yeah. So it's all about facing unpleasant aspects of yourself so that you can confront them, because whatever you try to hide is going to control you. It will control you. So you want to be in control, right, of this. So your task is to face yourself, these hidden aspects, honestly, without guilt, right? And then you can clear them up, and they won't have an influence over you anymore. That's for Pisces. So that next 20 years, Pisces, is you're cleaning up. You're cleaning up house. You're putting all that garbage and trash out. And these are dynamics that follow us from past lives, right? They get played out in childhood, but they're really coming from your past life. I know so many Pisces that they have memory, right? Because they're very psychic, Pisces. They have memory of their parent, right? Oh yeah, my parent, yeah, she killed me in three lifetimes in a row. Right? Things like that can be heavy. Okay, so let's do an ego card for Pisces. Okay. What's the ego telling Pisces? What lies are the ego telling Pisces for this placement? Okay. There we go. Okay, you got the obsessive thinking card, right? So this is all about past lives. Like me, it's very karmic too, the 12th house. So you can come with this transit. You could be meeting some old karmic friends, right, from the past, maybe popping up from out of nowhere, and they'll be very Plutonian. So Plutonian people are not chit-chat, right? Nice day if it don't rain. They're not going to be talking like that. They're not going to be talking about the weather, right? So they can be very triggering for you. And the memory of the past life you've had with them, right? So, So this is about trying to understand with your mind, right? Because the 12th house is the house of mirrors. It's just going to be completely confusing for the mind, trying to limit it by limitation, put it in a box so I understand it, so the mind feels okay about it. And the mind will always side with the past. Well, it will always side with the inauthentic. What's inauthentic to you, right? It won't be true. So this is about, it's about a person. So you're going to have a very important person coming in with this transit, probably people. But it's about focusing on yourself and doing your shadow work and needing space. The 12th house is needing more time to go internal, right? It's the house of isolation, right? It's about being with yourself, right? Being with yourself. So needing space, not space from this mind to go deeper in meditation, right? To listen to what's really going on for the Pisces. Yeah. Karma, right? It's the house of karma. So Pluto's activating all that stuff. So it can be painful, right? Shadow work, I'm not going to lie to you. It can be painful. Like who wants to feel guilt and shame and abandonment and jealousy, right? But that's what we have to do to bring it into the light. Okay. Anything else for Pisces and limitation? Yeah. The image I have for you, Pisces, is the ice. You know the ice cube? And you put the ice cube in the water and it just slowly dissolves, right? It happens in its own time. I feel like if you just keep bringing compassion and bravery and courage to face these aspects of yourself, that ice cube, which is you, will melt into spirit awareness, right? Into the all one. But yeah, to be patient. Okay, that's for Pisces. And let's go for the star of the show, which is Aquarius. Capricorn's off the hot seat now. Aquarian's on the hot seat. It's happening in your first house, Aquarius. So you've got the shadow of limitation, and then Pluto in there for 20 years, and Aquarius for Aquarius, Sun, Rising, Moon. So this is about Pluto is completely reshaping your identity. So it's about letting go of what shaped your personality today, right? So it's looking deep. Pluto's going to bring up some things, it could be like a real easy thing. Like, well, I was a child and my mother and my father were very social. And they had the backyard barbecues and everybody used to come over to our house. It would be the dewdrop in, right? And here you are, a little Aries, a little Aquarius child, a weirdo. Aquariuses are very different, right? And you just want to spend time alone, right? You just want to spend time alone. You want to be by yourself. But your family is this, you're the oddball out, the black sheep, right? And your family's so social and extroverted and happy, right? And happy, or pretend that they're happy. And there you are as an Aquarius, right? I just want to be in my room. I want to be left alone. I don't like all these people barging over all the time, and right? And nobody can relate to me. But then you take on this false persona, right? Trying to be an extrovert, trying to be like everybody else, right? And then this is Pluto is like, that's not you. That's not you. It's time to drop this mask, this false personality that you've taken on, this false identity. So this is about getting in touch with the unconscious drives. Like, why am I driven to be this way? I go to these parties and I'm miserable. I can't wait to go. I'm looking at my watch, right? I just want to go. Like, what's driving me to do this? Well, it's going to go back to your childhood, Aquarius, right? Trying to fit in, go along to get along, right? Tribal consciousness is going away. So what you need to do is, right, to just let that mask be torn off your face, right? And Pluto will do that. It's going to bring up everything that's not authentic to you. And Aquarius is ruled by Uranus and Saturn, right? So you do want to be yourself, your unique self. So the more you're authentic and the more you're your real self, and this means being in integrity, Aquarius. So that means the inside and the outside match. Whatever's going on inside me and my behavior and everything is a match, right? That's when you know you're in integrity. So I don't want to go to a party. No, I'm not a party person. I'm not an extrovert. I like my solitude. I just like to be honest. And the more real and authentic you are, the seventh house on the other side, or it's going to be more fulfilling. Your relationships are going to be way more fulfilling because everybody at our root, at our true root, right, at our essence, we want each other to be authentic, right? We want each other to be authentic. So Pluto will also bring up energies deep inside you that around wanting the control, right? Control, because Pluto can be very controlling everything around you to keep up this facade, this false mask, right? So that you've been wearing like long ago from childhood. So it will be trying to control all that, control the facade. Remember this? That's like the old Western movies where they just have the piece of wood and they paint it like it's a saloon. It's got the things on the wooden things on the back, just holding it up. It's not real. You go over and push it and it will come flying down. That's you trying to keep up the facade, right? This is who I am. Really? No, this is who I am. So it's to face that fear of not being yourself, being rejected, whatever it is, abandoned, right? Believing that you have to be this way in relationship. There's no other way. Pluto's going to bust through all of that stuff, right? This is a huge transit for you, Aquarius. It's in your first house. You're going to enter in one person and you're going to exit another person, but you'll be more and more yourself. So you've got to remember the warning is if you resist this, then you become a puppet, right? You become a puppet for this ego, right? You become a channel, right? You're not channeling higher entities. You're channeling this ego, right? And so you become that ego for other people, right? And then the ego to yourself. Right, and that's what it means to be unconscious, right? You're not awake. So it's about surrendering to this process. I can't say that enough. You can't fight Pluto. You can't street fight with Pluto, right? You've got to completely surrender to this transformation that's happening. Everybody's going through it, right? But especially you in the first house. And then once you really embrace this authenticity, then you become a puppet for higher frequencies. And that's the frequency of like authenticity. And that gives other people around you permission for them to be themselves, right? This is you coming into your spiritual adulthood. That's what Pluto wants for you. So it's about supporting you to go inward, right? It's supporting you. So you could be limited, right? In the other sense of the word, limited. Oh, the things that I used to do all the time, my inauthentic self wants to do and distract myself from my work that I have to do on the spiritual journey. You'll be limited. The parties will just cancel. Things will just start to cancel. Somebody will be fighting with you. They won't want to talk to you anymore, won't invite you out anymore. You may find yourself alone and you can go into like, this is all happening to me. I'm a victim, but to go into acceptance. I'm being limited because I need to go inside. That's the message. I need to spend some time alone by myself and to find out who I am and what is not me, right? So that I can undress and shed that. Yeah. So Pluto's really going to direct you to the mystery of you, right? So don't go into the mind and the ego. I know who you are, or you're channeling the ego. I know who I am. I'm this. Fixed sign, right, Aquarius? Box, limitation, limiting yourself. Go into the mystery of you. I don't know who I am, but I'm open to discovering what that is, right? Yeah. That's all I wanted to say with that, with Aquarius. So let's do a card for Aquarius. Okay. Let's see what we got for Aquarius. Aquarius friends. Aquarius sun, rising or moon. Okay. And truly, the archetype of Aquarius, they do really just want to be themselves and seen for their uniqueness. Okay. What do we got for Aquarius? What do we have for our Aquarius friends? Tell me what we have for our Aquarius friends. Okay. Oh, Aquarius don't want to hear this. They got the people-pleasing card. Yeah. They got all the likes, right? On their Facebook and their Instagram, right? They got all the hearts. So this is something to dig out. That's what this is saying, right? The ego that wants to be the people pleaser. Tell people what they want to hear. Telling people what they want to hear, right? Manipulative. This is very manipulative, and it's seeking unconditional love from other people. And you know the game. Whatever you're looking for outside of you, I want them to like me and give me love. You have to give yourself, right? So that's coming from this, right? This is the emotional work you have to do. You have to give it to yourself. Give that unconditional love to yourself. Give that attention to yourself. Love yourself for being a weirdo and a freak as an Aquarius, right? Give to yourself what you're seeking, So watch that ego looking to get it outside of you, right? Because you'll no longer be fed. Life is not, the Aquarian age is truth. You'll be no longer, your inauthentic self will no longer be fed. It will not. It's all about authenticity, the cross of the sleeping phoenix. You have to be authentic. So these people pleasing, Pluto will blow this out of the water. You won't get this anymore. And it's going to drive the ego crazy. It's like, it worked before. Why isn't it working now? Because we're in a different time. So no more people pleasing. And go to the root. Spend some time alone. Why am I a people pleaser? What is this identity? It's not me. It's not me. And you'll know when anger starts to come up, Aquarius. When you start to feel angry that I'm not getting what I want from this person or this situation. That's a big sign that you're not being your authentic self, right? Because that anger is coming up from this emotional period, 0 to 7 years old, when you weren't given unconditional love as a child. This is the currency, right? For the child self. They don't want toys and all the other stuff parents give them. They want love. They want unconditional love. They want to be loved unconditionally for who they really are. Yeah. Okay. So that's good for, so you got 20 years to work on it, so you have time, Aquarius. Okay. The thing with the people pleasing, just to go back to that, because I think it doesn't matter if you're Aquarius or not, we can all relate to it. It's the go along, the get along. It's tribal consciousness, right? There's one of my programs, I forget what program it is, but I talked about that we actually have a fear of rejection, like it's a real physical thing that happens inside of us. It's a chemical, physical thing. It goes beyond psychological. It's in our genetics, and it's actually part of our evolution. And it shows us, oh, those people aren't agreeing with what I'm saying, right? I can't really speak what I really think about this in the tribe, the context of the tribe. I'm talking historical. Well, there would be a mechanism inside of us where we would know, oh, I'm about to get rejected. So it helped keep you alive, because it's like, I said something wrong. I shouldn't have said that. Oh, I didn't really mean that. This is what I meant. I agree with you, everything you're saying. or people pleasing, like inflating that other person's ego, so that you stay in the tribe and you survive, right? So it was a defense mechanism. That's part of our genetics that kept us alive. So it's a real thing that we have to bypass, and it can bring up a lot of fear, right? It can bring up a lot of fear. Because now it's not going to keep you safe to be people pleasing, right? Telling people what they want to hear and not being your authentic self. It's the opposite. Remember, it's the upside down world now. Okay. Okay. Oh, the Cappies, the Capricorns. Okay. The Capricorns have been through a lot, but they're not done yet. Because it's coming back. Pluto's coming back into the first house in June. But it's going to leave finally in January next year. So Capricorn, it doesn't end the challenges for Capricorn. So this is all taking place in your second house. Pluto in Aquarius and the shadow of limitation is happening in your second house. So there can be limitations around your finances and your material, personal possessions. And it's all about your values. So this means that you're going through major changes in your finances over the next 20 years. So the upsetting part, because Pluto destroys, right, Capricorn, and then it creates, right? So there's the destruction and then the creation that happens. So we go through this phase with Capricorn, or with Pluto transits. So there can be, like, initially when Pluto finally really sits in Aquarius in next year, 2024, you may be even feeling it now, then you have to learn to get along with less, right? Less of your resources. And this makes you more resourceful. So you have to change. You may have to change your source of income in this changeover, right? That through the destruction phase, feeling limited, right? And what it's about is discerning what you value. The second house is really about what you value, and it's about valuing yourself, right? So asking yourself the questions. Pluto is saying, why do I need those things? Why do I need this thing? Is it to inflate my ego, right? So that I can keep up with the Joneses? So it's part of my attachment to what it looks like to wear this false mask, right? As an example, I need to drive a brand new car every year, right? Like, but it's feeding this false identity, right? And it's valuing objects. And what it's really saying is, I'm valuing myself as an object. I'm an object too. This is why people get conflated with their objects. You know, you open your car door and mistakenly just tap someone else's car and they start freaking out. That's the ego. This car is me, right? You're attacking me. And meanwhile, it's just a car, right? It can be replaced, right? There's no damage done here, but there's damage to the ego. So that ego is also seeing itself as an object. I'm just this body. I'm just this body, no, nothing else, right? So, so asking yourself that, why am I purchasing this? Or am I purchasing this because it has a greater purpose, right? So it's like, do I need the latest iPhone that's come out? What are they on, 13 now, the iPhone 13? Why do I need this, right? Where I'm just like, I need the latest, greatest thing. Or is this actually serving my sole purpose? Well, I do photography and I do these other things, and I can do editing on this phone, and I can do all kinds of stuff that's going to further me into my sole purpose. Then that's different, right? It's like the object is serving you, right? You're not serving the object, right? To like, look at me, I've got the latest iPhone, the latest gadget. Or like, I know a Capricorn sun, and she's kind of like that, like really attached to her car, and her car is fine. But it's like 10 years old, and she kept saying, I want a brand new car. And she had that limitation, that shadow of limitation on her, right? Because Capricorn's been in the first house, right? Or Pluto's been in the first house for Capricorns for 15 years. And she just started looking at, well, maybe I'll fix this car. It just needs a few repairs. And she loves this car, right? She loves this car. And the new one, she went for a test drive, and it was worse because it's the modern cars, right? It's all electric, and I won't go down that road. But, right? So that like that, getting resourceful for that. So this doesn't mean that Pluto is going to put you in poverty, but it's going to show you where you've been wasting your money, right? Wasting your energy, where you've been valuing things that are inauthentic, right? So it's really the purpose, right, is to realize that money can't be counted on, right? Especially now, like there's so much change, even money we can't be counted on, right? And if you're an entrepreneur, you know that, right? It comes and goes. It's about trusting that the true value is coming from inside you. The true resources are coming from inside you. They're not outside of you, right? It's not conflating, I have this much money in the bank account, so I'm a good person, right? It's going to dig up all that stuff, right? And the best way we can easily trick ourselves when the money's always flowing and it's always there. Oh yeah, I value myself. But as soon as you take it away, then the truth comes out, right? The truth will come out. So it's about getting in touch with your authentic values. So you can do the inner work. Do the inner work so you don't have to manifest some crazy crises, right? So just knowing down through this breakdown phase for Pluto, just to be aware of that, like your income will be changing, and it's about you getting in touch with your authentic value, Capricorn. And you may discover through this transit that the things that were really important to you in the past are no longer important to you, right? That you won't feel this compulsion to spend and possess and to have things. And to have things that comes with responsibility. I remember when The Secret came out, like that new age false teaching, right? Just get the ego, right? Just the world's your menu. You get whatever you want, right? And control. Right? You have control over your reality. That serves the ego, not the divine. And we were doing vision boards then, and I had nothing on my vision board. We had to go through magazines, put it on your vision board. And the facilitator came over to me and said, "Well, there's nothing on your vision board." And I said, well, if I get this thing, I'm thinking, well, I've got to insure it, and then I've got to take care of it, and I don't want this kind of responsibility. I was looking at the long term. Not just the have, right? That's the ego. And the thing with that is, like, once you get it, the ego's never satisfied. It will want the next thing and the next thing and the next thing, right? So that's what you're learning, what your true values are. And also look at your conditioning, like to go back to your childhood, your conditioning. Who taught you that you have value only if you have these material things around you? This is like a collective lesson too that we're in, right, with Uranus and Taurus. So it's making your spiritual values more important to you, and then your relationships more important to you, right? So it's loving people and using things, not using people and loving things, right? It's the upside down world, becoming into our spiritual values. And a reminder too, Pluto is reminding you that you have no control, right? Capricorns love to control. You have no control over the material realm. Not now, right? Not now. Our true security is within. Okay, so to value yourself, and your inner resources are inside you. Okay, so let's see what we got for Capricorn. Let's go for Capricorn. What do we have for our Capricorn friends? For the ego. Okay. I got called to pick 2 cards for Capricorn. So you got the authority figure there. And this is substituting an authority figure for a parent. So the Capricorn, go there, where your values came from. Did they come from a parent, right? And a father. Did they come from your father, right? That I'm only respected and valued if I have this title, Capricorn, right? If I have this title, if I'm making this much money, right? If I have my house and my picket fence and the nice car, right? It's like to really look at this. And it's all about the adult desire to fit in, get ahead, and appear responsible. And again, go back to childhood, Capricorn. What did the child want, right? The child wanted unconditional love. So this is how we carry this into our adult self. That's the adult version of seeking unconditional love, right? Is being responsible. I'm a responsible adult in this insane world, right? And that means accumulating all this stuff around me. And it's false security, Capricorn. Those material things, you can't take them with you when you die, right? What goes with you? It's what came with you, your soul. That's all you got, right? That's what has true value. All this, it's illusion. It comes and goes. So look at a parent and dig that out with this Pluto transit. And then you got the clinging card. Clinging, clinging, clinging. So holding on to what you have, right? So addicted to spending, addicted to these material possessions, Capricorn, right? And it's the fear of the unknown, and it's not having a belief in yourself that everything that you need is inside you, right? Right? Material things can go, material things can come back again, right? So look at what you have and what you're clinging on to. Pluto will take it away. Whatever you're attached to, Pluto will take it away to show you that you don't need it. Right? Yeah. And they're limiting you. Back to the shadow of limitation, right? These false values are limiting you. Now, it's time to get in touch with your true values. And the thing is, when we get more in touch with our authenticity, we're happier, right? We're just naturally happier. Right. Okay. So where are we now? Anything else for Capricorn? Yes, and it's self-worth, right? When you go feeling limited, feeling the shadow of limitation from a parent, is go to self-worth, right? Self-worth issues, that you have worth just as yourself. Besides doing, not being a human doing, right? Just by your being, that you have value, that you exist on this planet. That's your value right there. Not what you own or what title you have, what job you have. Okay, Sagittarius. Sagittarius. And they are in the third house, right? Yeah, the third house, Sagittarius. So this is communication. Pluto is coming in, limiting. So communication, conversations. You're not going to be able to do all the chit-chat surface talk, Sagittarius. Let's talk about the weather. Let's talk about the Kardashians. That's not going to work anymore. Let's talk about celebrity culture, right? Sagittarius can be flitty, right? So deeper conversations now, right? Pluto wants that. So this is about your environment. So where you live, who you see every day, your siblings, your neighbors. Your communication is going to be very, very important. So doing the chit-chat because I don't want to talk to that person, that's not going to work anymore, right? Chit-chat. Oh, they think I'm nice, right? And then I just take off and I don't want to talk. I don't want to get into any depth with people. Well, Pluto's going to change that, right? So this is your being forced to examine your everyday life. And are you in the right environment? Is it the right environment for you? And remember that old saying, right? We become the 5 people that we spend the most time with. Are these people on their mission? Are they on their soul's mission? Are they on their soul's purpose? Are they on their spiritual journey? Or are they kicking back thinking it's a vacation lifetime? Playing in the Maya, right? Inflating the ego, in the drama, right? Maybe you're helping them out, Sagittarius, so that you can look good, right? Look at them. They come to me for help, right? All these superficial friends. But they're affecting you. Don't deny that. You can't deny that. Pluto will not let you deny that anymore, that you're around superficial people, right? Superficial people that are not challenging you, right? Because you don't want to be seen. So the change with Pluto will be triggered by your environment, right? So situations that you've been putting up with for a long, long time, maybe your whole life, they'll reach a crisis point, right? Because that means they're coming to an end, so that you'll have to do something about it. You'll be confronted. You'll be confronted to deal with your way of communication and relating to people. So this is a great time of psychological change for Sagittarius. So it's crucial for you to examine your everyday beliefs and ideas that you've never questioned before, that are undermining you, right? So maybe not perceiving people as they truly are, right? Staying on the surface. And look at, this is what we're being called, right? To go to the deeper self, Sagittarius, right? And this is what you'll be confronted on if you're up here with the ego on the surface of life. It's not going to work. Pluto's got no time for that, those shenanigans. So you won't be able, and you'll look at your mind, because the 3rd house is about your thinking. So you'll be able to look at your mind, how your mind is ruling you, right? What's kind of the thinking, because the thinking creates our beliefs, right? So the thinking, the way we think, that affects our perception. So the thoughts that we're taking in are going to affect our perception, and they're limiting you. That's what this transit is saying, Sagittarius. Pluto is like blowing out you got the blinders on. Pluto is expanding, right? Expanding your point of view. And this means changing your thinking, activating those neural pathways, right? Forming new neural pathways. And of course, your environment is going to reflect that, right? It's going to reflect that. These people in your life are not going to be a match vibrationally for you anymore. So it could be very upsetting at the first part of the Pluto transit, the destruction part. It can be upsetting to see how wrong you've been. Sagittarians do not like being wrong, right? They like the self-righteousness. They like to be right. That's the shadow of Sagittarius. So it can be very upsetting. Oh my God, I didn't really see these people for who they are in this environment that I'm living in, right? And how it's really affected me, and how it's given me permission to hide myself, not show up as myself. So this is like the mind will try to come up with a superficial explanations about what's going on, but it's about getting to the deeper, right? The deeper self. And Pluto's going to dig out everything that's untrue. It's going to dig out all those thoughts and beliefs that you've had that are not true, that are undermining you. So you may be interested too with studying occult, right? Occult studies like astrology, psychology, things of that. Change of scene will be really helpful for you with Pluto in the 3rd house, but short trips, not long trips. That will help. And movement too. That will help activate your awareness. You know, they call the walking writer's meditation, right? To walk. And that will help with clearing out the cobwebs in your head. So it's new neural pathways are being formed. That's what I see here. And then you're going to gain a whole new perspective on your everyday, day-to-day world, your communications, and that in your localized environment will have a lot more meaning and depth for you, right? With this Pluto transit. And also looking at your siblings, right? 3rd house rules siblings too. Or a small team environment. If you have a workplace that's like, 5, 7 people. But it's forcing you to come down to earth, right? Okay, let's look at a card for Sagittarius. Sun, rising, or moon. Anxiety too, like if you've got mind problems, anxiety, like worrying all the time, that's all going to come up so that you can see it. Where you're undermining yourself. Okay. And remember, worry is a prayer. You can look at worry as a prayer. What are you praying for? Usually people are worrying about money. Right? It's a prayer. It's prayer for lack. Prayer for scarcity. Okay, what do we got for Sagittarius? What do we got for Sagittarius? This one right here. Judgment. I'd expect that for Capricorn, but we got it for Sagittarius too. There's the Judgment card. Yeah. So judging, that would be a mind problem, wouldn't it? In the third house is judging. So the thing is, a lot of people say it's wrong to judge. It's wrong. You shouldn't be judging. Here's how the mind works. The mind is always looking through contrasts. So it's always judging this or that, this or that. That's just what the mind does. But where we get into trouble is when we start identifying with the mind in those judgments, right? And so that's what this is saying. So what you're going to see, Pluto is going to show you your judging mind, Sagittarius, and how it's undermining you because you're attaching to a judgment, right? So there's the judging mind, judging that other person in your environment, right? You believe it's true. You believe it into existence, that thought that's not even yours, right? You believe it into existence, and this undermines you. This is projecting devil onto the angels and projecting angels onto the devils, right? That sort of thing. And then believing it. You're not seeing reality as it truly is. So what it really is, all judgments are self-judgments. So whatever you're putting out and judging another person, you're doing it yourself, right? You're doing it to yourself. You're actually doing it, but you're projecting it onto another person. So look at that. Okay. Yeah. But you won't be able to get away with your shenanigans anymore with that. Okay. Which is a good thing. So let's go for Scorpio. Scorpio. So Scorpio, sun, rising, or moon for the Scorpions. And they're in the 4th house, right? Yeah, Pluto. Pluto transiting your 4th house. So you've gone through huge psychological changes because you had Pluto in your 3rd house for the last 15 years. You went through what Sagittarians are just about to go into, right? Scorpios. So you're going to continue this process, but now in your 4th house. So this becomes even more personal. You're out of the mind and what your thoughts and your beliefs and judgments, and now you're coming into the internal, right? You're coming into this is the personal internal self. So this is your home and your family are going to be very, very affected by this Pluto transit. So you have to deal with problems, issues, right, from your childhood, and especially related to the mother, right? The mother is the 4th house. So childhood issues, Pluto's going to bring these up, things that have been limiting you, right? Limiting you. Childhood issues will surface during this transit, and you're going to understand how your childhood has influenced you as an adult. So like just a quick example is you were emotionally neglected as a child, right? Mom wasn't affectionate, right? She wasn't like emotionally soothing to you, right? But now you're going to see, oh, this is why I choose emotionally distant partners, just for a simple example, right? because I'm trying to get that love, that unconditional love for my mother. I'm trying to get that emotional nurturance from my mother through my partner. And of course it doesn't work because you're to give it to yourself, right? So this limits you, Scorpio, emotionally, right? Scorpios are very deep, right? Very deep. They feel deeply, right? So this is going to really open up your emotional body even more. It's the 4th house. So you won't be able to repress these feelings anymore. Well, that was just mom, that, right? She had a crappy childhood too, and I'm fine, and we're all fine. Everybody's happy. The nice face, right? Well, you're not going to be able to ignore those feelings anymore, Scorpio. Pluto won't allow it because it's all about bringing you in truth, right? Bringing you in truth, right? Pluto rules Scorpio. These are intense, right? Pluto's intense emotional feelings that you can't ignore, you can't repress anymore. So this is an excellent time to do inner child work, right? And you'll be compelled to do this work now. And then your emotional life will change dramatically. You'll start to honor your emotions, and your home life will transform. Your relationship with your family will change, right? This could be like you changing your actual home on the mundane level. Change within a house. There's a divorce, maybe a divorce or a separation if your partner's not aligned with the changes that you're going through. And your relationship with your parents, right, will really go through a radical change. So if you've been overly dependent on a parent, like your relationship with your mother, then this will be, Pluto will separate you a little bit, right? So that you can give that to yourself, that emotional nurturance. It's so that you're independent, emotionally secure within yourself. And this may or may not happen. It's just if you stick with your childhood role, because we take on roles in our family, and maybe your mother is still treating you like you're a little girl, and in some ways, not treating you as an adult woman, then Pluto's going to step in, right? And there'll be some kind of separation, some kind of power struggle will happen so that you can grow up emotionally, basically. Or if you're playing these roles with your partner, right? If your partner is more in the parent role, you're more in the child role, or vice versa, then Pluto's going to step in too, because it's not true, right? So your whole relationship with your emotional self is going to develop, right? But it's going to be intense, Scorpio. The feelings are going to be intense for you. But it's breaking out, right? So accepting your emotions, not judging them as wrong, right? Because if you've had an emotionally neglected mother, Scorpio, she would not have been okay with her emotions herself, and she would have been trying to control her child, control you. If you showed any kind of emotions, it would trigger her, right? So there could be making it wrong. It's wrong for me to have these emotions. Right, I can have these emotions, but I can't have these ones over here. So it's about accepting them. Okay, what do we got for our Scorpio friends? What do we have for our Scorpio friends? This one right here. That's interesting. You got the money temptation card. You can see the little mouse trap, and then $20 in there. Money temptation. This is false security with the 4th house. Having faith in the divine, the false security. So the 4th house is about emotional security. And with this card, it may be that you've conflated material security with emotional security. To watch that. This could have been a way of repressing your emotions, right? Is with money. Especially if your mother had money problems, like your mother was in scarcity consciousness and always worried about money, right? Scorpio. And so you may have conflated this with, well, if my mother, this is how the child thinks, my mother really wants money, So that means that, and she's happy when she has money. So the false child self takes that on, right? Like money means happiness, right? This is not going to the depths of your emotions. It's like, right? So I should be happy. I should be happy. I have money. I'm emotionally secure, because my mother was always wanted money. She was always happy when she had money, and she wasn't happy when she didn't have money. So to not fall into this trap, right, of avoiding your inner child work and your emotional work is going for the money. And it could be with a partner, right, that comes up with this Pluto transit for Scorpio. And it's a limitation. It's a limitation, and it keeps you on the surface of life, Scorpio, right? Because you maybe this could be a distraction. Well, I just need money. I'm upset because it's money. That's the ego will have you focused on that. If I just had money, then I would be happy. And all these painful feelings will go away. And they have nothing to do with money, right? We conflate money with fear, getting rid of fear and security, right? What I said before, the frequency of fear, right? As a collective, we have to agree on something on the material realm that represents this fear. And right now it's money, right? Right now it's money that represents fear. But the fear is actually coming up from deep in the collective unconscious of humanity, but it gets projected on the object. Well, if I just had this, then I would get rid of this fear. I would get rid of these uncomfortable feelings. So that's what the ego is trying to trick you from going deeper. This has nothing to do with money. These painful feelings have nothing whatsoever to do with money. They have everything to do with your childhood. And you'll be supported. This is how it works. When you choose and commit, I'm going to do this work, I'm going to do my emotional work, I'm going to do my inner child work, then you're automatically supported by the collective. This is the magical realism, Scorpio, right? That's the gift of the 60, the magical realism. This is a very material gene key, this one, right? It's coming off the root. It's material. It's about survival. That you'll be supported, that you have to trust that. Because this is a game. Well, when I have this much money and I'll be secure, then I'll do my work, right? Then I'll go into therapy and do my inner child work and do all that. It's not going to work. It's the upside down world now. You move forward and you're healing, Scorpio, and you'll be supported materially to do this work. I've seen it so many times with people. Right? But they have to commit, and they've got to let go of this as their God. Money is their God, right? So put your faith in the divine, not into pieces of paper, right? This comes and goes. Money comes and goes. But what doesn't come and go is your soul, your eternal soul, the divine. Okay. Hopefully that makes sense, Scorpio. It's a bit of a purge there. Okay. It made sense to me. Okay. So Libra, the Librans. And we've got a full moon in Libra coming up next week. That's going to be my next video. Which is the shadow of unease. The full moon's in the shadow of unease, Libra. So it's right on you coming up. So it's the 5th house for Libra. The Pluto transit, and the Pluto in the shadow of limitation is in your 5th house. And this is about children for the Libras. So this could be your inner child too. It's about enjoyment and pleasure, and it's the love and the self-love and the expression of the self, like the true expression of you, who you really are. So if you have children, Libra yourself, then this relationship's going to go through massive changes. And plus it's a 20-year cycle, so children go through, right, major change just growing up. But even if they're adults, right? So everything that you do with them right now is going to have a huge impact on them, right? With Pluto and Aquarius and the shadow of limitation. So you have to be aware of your relationship with your children. So there can be tension, there can be power struggles with your children. And Pluto in the fifth, too, also indicates that an intense Plutonian love affair can begin, and it will be very, very emotional, right? So you can experience this as fated, like it's fated, it's meant to be, and it's coming in for a reason. So you have to be cautious of becoming infatuated in some kind of fantasy with somebody who would not make a committed partner, right? So because the fifth house is like the dating and the romance, and then the seventh house is the marriage and the partnership, the committed relationship. So your subconscious pattern could be tricking you, projecting your ideal onto that other person. So Pluto's going to bring that wherever you're in fantasy. Well, the white knight's going to come in and save me, right? The Libras, right? So an experience, right? This could be an experience like the trickery could be an experience that's taking you away from your spiritual growth, right? It's a distraction. It's the next shiny thing for you, Libra. So to watch that, right? So remember when you meet somebody, here's a hot tip. When you meet somebody, they show you who they are. Like within 5 minutes, they will show you who they are. And what we do, we see it, we intuit it, and then we bury it, right? So don't be burying this, what your intuition is telling you about this person, because it could be a big, big distraction, or it could be something really intense that you learn from. So creative self-expression, right? This is artistry. So you want to experience this creativity very intensely. You'll be really, really drawn to it. And superficial experiences won't interest you at all, right? Won't interest you at all. So it's about Pluto breaking away your creative self-expression, right? The love of self, the authentic self. Let's see what we got for the Libras. It's in there for 20 years. So it's also going to, if you're someone that doesn't really know, like Libras are the relationship sign, and you've been too focused on other people and their happiness, well, you're going to discover what you enjoy, because it's the house of enjoyment. Who you are, separate from your relationships. Maybe it will show you your codependency, right? Pluto in the fifth house. And limit you from romance so that you can see these patterns, right? That are undermining you. That's another scenario. So what do we have for our Libra friends? This one right here. Right there. Oh, yeah. Okay. Libra, avoid the soul purpose. Avoid your soul purpose. So this is going on a vacation. I'm going to go on a vacation for my spiritual journey by getting into this relationship. So this happens so often. You're finally committed, right? I'm committed to do my spiritual journey. I'm committed to integrate my shadow patterns. I'm committed to do my inner child work. And then who comes along, right? Ego comes along with another ego. Hey, look at me, a relationship. Ego loves that, right? Because it's got the exit door, Libra. Here's the exit door. Because where we're headed, right, in the spiritual path is going through there to spirit awareness on the other side. And who's not going? Ego's not going for the ride. Ego can't go for the ride. Don't listen to this false New Age teachings that says ego is going to go on the ride with you. Those are the false teachings. I'm here with you. Let's go. No, the ego will never let you go through the tunnel, right? Into spirit awareness. So, of course, there you are ready to walk right through the tunnel, your spiritual path. Ego's like scheming and, ooh, like how can I distract, right? Throws the stone in the bush over there. And out comes the perfect partner, right? The perfect partner. And that ego is like, yes, right? She didn't go through. There's Mr. White Knight for her. right? This is how the ego works, right? It's a big distraction. So watch that. This Plutonian fifth house person, Mr. White Knight, Mr. Suave, Mr. Player, coming along, telling you everything you want to hear, right? Feeding into some fantasy you have, Libra, being saved, right? You've got to watch that. This is avoiding your sole purpose. There's lots of tricks that ego comes up with to keep you from moving forward. So it's like, well, maybe I'll hop back in the matrix and have some fun, right? It's no fun. The spiritual journey's no fun. That's the ego. This is boring. I don't like this. I'm not getting fed, right? I'm getting actually diluted. Yeah. So this is trying to escape your destiny. So the hot tip that I told you, right, when you first meet that person, and don't be jumping into the ideal, don't be falling into the glamour, right? The mirrors and smoke and mirrors with these Plutonian people. Yeah. Anything else for the Libra? For that? Focus on yourself. Yeah. Focus on yourself. Romance yourself. Maybe if you're a serial monogamist, you're just hopping from bed to bed to bed to bed, relationship to relationship to relationship. Take some time to air yourself out, right? Maybe make that commitment to yourself with the fifth house. That this is the self-love house too. It's creativity, to focus on yourself. Pluto will show you, right? The energy of Pluto will show you where you're, right? With the Scorpio, with the money temptation, where you're so easily tempted to just leave your spiritual journey and go into the matrix, right back into the matrix. Okay. Let's go for Virgo. Oh, Virgo's in the sixth house. So that's a traditional Virgo. That's a traditional Virgo house. It's all about health. So you know this one. So this is a major transit with Pluto moving into your sixth house. This is the one that's been in mind. If you're a Leo, Sun, rising, you know this one. So you have to be careful with your health under this transit. And so you may overstrain yourself and have to be vigilant with your body's needs. So many years you may have had a problem that you've swept under the carpet, right? That hadn't fully manifested for you. Well, this will start to manifest, right? That it's coming up, not to punish you, but so that you can fix it. And if you ignore it, it can manifest into a complete physical breakdown for you. It's not to scare you, right? Because you can prevent these lessons, like turning into a crisis. So you want to look at your diet with the sixth house and listen to your body, right? So this is not a good time to do the latest fad, the keto or paleo, or right. It's not a one size fits all. That's what my recorded readings are about. It's like unique to your chart, what you need to eat in the right environment and things like that, right? Because food is very homogenized and it's not a one size fits all. We're all different and unique, but you need to really listen to your body, right? So a poor diet will lead to physical breakdown. Like so many things happened to me with my health that I had to switch and change, like things that I used to love to eat, my body just completely rejected, right? That's Pluto in the sixth house, right? I realized I was gluten intolerant, and then dairy, and then sugar, and on and on and on. But it's just adapting to the changes. But your body will show you very clearly, like, I can't play games anymore. I'll try like a little nibble of this and that, and it's like, no, it doesn't work, right? And so also it's connected to pets, the sixth house. And when I realized with my dog Bougie, I've got a little, he's Chihuahua mix, right? He's a little dog, little 8-pound dog. I noticed whenever I wasn't feeling well or I wasn't eating healthy foods, he would manifest it. He would manifest something, right? He'd get diarrhea or he would throw up or something. And it was so, I got it. It's like, oh, my intuition told me it's about you. Like when you're healthy, he's healthy. So he helps keep me in check too, right? So use that because it's the sixth house pets, because pets are healers, right? So often if your pet has some kind of illness or ailment, you need to look at yourself, right? And take care of yourself, right? Because they'll take that on. They take that stuff on. So you can avoid a crisis, Virgo, by making the necessary changes. And your intuition, your body will let you know. And that you can have complete physical regeneration, because Pluto regenerates, right, during this transit. And it's about you having a new physical regime for yourself. So work, it's the house of work. So your work can change. You can have several jobs. And at the end of the transit, you'll find something that really works for you. Even the way, the hours you work, right? The way you work, the way you approach work will go through a huge transformation, right? So it can be a Plutonian job that you take on, which means transformation, psychological. And plus it's Aquarius, Pluto and Aquarius, so humanitarian technology, like working in groups for a common cause. And it's learning to pace yourself, right? Pace yourself and to relax. Because this is like, you know, Virgos can get very in the mind and they need things to be perfect, and it can be anxious, right? They deal with anxiety with that, with the Virgo. So looking at your physical needs and what's been limiting you. Okay. Okay. So let's see what we got for the Virgo, for a card for the Virgo. And then if you've been taking good care of yourself, it could be a smooth ride for you, where you're actually helping other people with their health. That's the gift, right? The thing is, we have to receive the gift before we can give the gift. So maybe you've been working on this already, because Virgo is, right, sixth house ruled. Or the, Mercury rules the sixth house, Virgo. Okay. What do we have for Virgo? This one right here. Hiding. Okay, you got the projection card, which is Shadow 101. Right there. Right there. So you have to be aware of projecting in terms of health and work. Maybe projecting your own health issues onto your pet, like I used that example before, not taking ownership that, I'm the cause of this. It's not my pet. My pet's just reflecting it back to me. Being overly focused on, I got to fix my pet, right? Sixth house is about fixing problems. I have to fix my pet. I have to fix my partner. He's got all the health problems. It's not taking ownership for your own health, right? So it's projecting your shadow and your fear, right? So fear of your body decaying, right? Pluto teaches us that, mortality. This body has an expiry date, right? It's going to go one day. Yeah. So not to project this health stuff onto someone else and overly focused on them. Bring the focus back to you. Listen to your own body. Okay. No, I have not done. Did I skip Leo? No, I didn't skip Leo. Leo never gets skipped. That's for Aries. I usually skip Aries and Pisces by accident. Okay, there's Leo. Okay, so we got some Leos in the house here. Leo, it's all about me. Okay, so Leo, sun, rising, or moon, it's in your seventh house, and that's all about relationships. So Leo just got out of the sixth house for a while. It's been all about your health and work for the last 15 years. And now it's your relationships. So all your relationships with Pluto and the shadow of limitation and the zodiac sign of Aquarius are going to go huge transformation, right? where you've been limited in relationship, right? Where you've been limited in relationships. And so they're going to be transformed through close encounters, through one-on-one relationships. This is not you in a group, it's you one-on-one. So any relationship that's not rooted in truth, that's limiting you, will not survive this transit. So maybe you've got a relationship already and it's not shaky ground already. It's not going to make it through. So this isn't a good idea to expect a comfy, happily ever after partnership, right? During this transit. And if you continue to operate from past illusions, right? Because Aquarius rules the 7th house for Leos, right? So Leos want something kind of different, something kind of quirky in their relationships. So they have an idea, and this could be an illusion, right? Past illusions that are not going to work for you. Pluto's coming in with the truth, right? So if you continue to operate from the past illusions, then you'll fall under these conditioning patterns, maybe brought to you by your ancestors, and be run over by your unconscious relationship programs that create crisis after crisis after crisis. The relationships will seem not to work out because you're letting your ego choose your relationship. You're not letting your soul choose your relationship. There's a Course in Miracles teacher that said this. A friend of mine told me this. She went to this lecture, right? And he said, with the Course in Miracles, that you'll meet your soulmate and immediately you'll come up with all their flaws, right? And slam the door in their face. Don't want to talk to them. Even if they come ding dong, they come right to your door, right? You'll just slam the door in their face because they're not perfect, right? They're not the ideal. He's too short. He doesn't make enough money. He drives this kind of car? No. And she said later, she kind of chuckled at that. And then she did meet her soulmate. A year later, she's a 6-line profile too, right? So she's 48 when she met him. And the same thing, just all the flaws. No, I'd have nothing to do with him, right? Yeah. So just to be aware of this, right? To let go of these illusions from the past and who your ego thinks is the perfect partner, right, for you. Which may or may not be true, right? Because it's all about your soul is choosing. So you need intensity in your relationships now, emotional intensity. That's what Pluto's saying, in order to grow as a soul. So you'll thrive, right? If you want that, know the emotional intensity and the spiritual growth is most important to me, not what kind of car the person drives or how much money they got or how pretty they are or handsome they are, right? Then you're going to thrive during this time, right? And that you will attract a committed partner, right? But you've got to be willing to be vulnerable. So your soul is seeking radical transformation through your intense one-on-one relationships. So this is transit. It's important for you to avoid power struggles with enemies because, right, it's the other, right, the 7th house, because they'll tend to be destructive, manipulative, and play dirty. They won't play clean, right? So you can attract Plutonian types of people into your life. And if you do become involved with a conflict, I'm going to get back at them. You expect that person to use every sneaky device available to power over you. And you're not going to win. You won't win during this transit. So don't engage with such people. It's just going to waste your energy, Leo. So the people you encounter during this 20 years are going to affect your life so profoundly, right? And they're only mirrors for your unconscious mind, right? So, okay, you got that Plutonian enemy that's coming at you, that like hates you, wants to destroy you. You have no idea. Well, look at them as a mirror. That's a mirror that's mirroring something in my unconscious that I have to integrate, right? Shadows, right? So see these people as aspects of you, right? Don't blame and try to fight and get back at that other person, right? So they're shadows that are projected out in the material world so that you can integrate them into your psyche. So it's important during this transit that you not blame everyone else for what happens to you, for good or bad, and recognize that they're only messengers to trigger you and what's going on in your own unconscious, right? So when you learn this, then you're going to gain a real understanding of your life, and this transit will like radically change how you relate to other people, right? Relate to other people. So Leos can get very self-centered in their own thing, right? The kings and the queens. And Aquarius is the common folk, right? So Aquarius is about learning what that other person wants, what that other person values, right? Listening to other people, things like that, right? So Pluto's going to rock your world in terms of relationship, Leo, for the next 20 years. Okay. In the kinds of relationships that limited you in the past. Oh, this person looks really good on paper, right? It's a different story than what your soul wants you to grow. Right. Okay. Okay, what do we got for Leo? What do we have for our Leo friends from the ego? What's the ego telling our Leo friends? This one right here. Suppression. Interesting. You got the suppression card right there. So this isn't being yourself, right? Not being your authentic self. And for a lot of Leos, it's been a desert in terms of relationships for Leos. Just what they've been through, the ones that I've talked in just my sense astrologically. So this is feast or famine, right? So when somebody does come along, like Libra, like I said to the Libras, is just to be aware. Be in your center and be aware. And what is this person all about? We're dealing with Pluto, right? The energies of Pluto. And the shadow side is very sneaky and deceptive and manipulative and game player. It can be easily, because you're so desperate to be in a relationship maybe, that you project your ideal onto that other person. So to be aware of, I'm just going to take my time. I'm going to take my time here with this person, right? To really get to know them, vet them. Because the Leos can really open up their heart like really, really fast to people. It's just who they are, right? Heart-based. They're ruled by the heart and the sun, right? So they just assume that everybody's like them, honest and giving and generous, and not everybody's like that. So maybe that's what you're learning during this transit, is to be discerning and to value yourself. So not to block it, right? Not to block it. Not to block this energy if you're getting that intuitive hit, but also if you're getting the intuitive hit to go towards that person, it can happen the other way too. Don't block that too, because you're gun shy, right? I'd rather just be alone. Pluto in the 7th house is like, no, you're here now to transform through your relationships, not just by yourself anymore. And it will lead to distortion. So that's right. So your soul's energy is moving with a desire to go towards a person, like go towards this person, and then you're blocking it. Well, it's going to lead to distortion, right? Because it's not being expressed, and so it gets perverted in a sense, because it gets locked into yourself, and that leads to distortion, right? So you're not delivering something. You're not delivering your authenticity. You're trying to block it, right? So it can lead to obsessive thinking and questioning and doubting, and then you're wasting all of your energy. So what I'm saying is to trust your soul, right? Where your soul is calling you towards. Do not trust the ego and the mind, right? With the, he doesn't fit the checklist here that I have my ego made up in my head. That person doesn't match the vision board person, right? It's just to trust your soul and your desire. And it's Plutonian, so it's going to be really, really intense that you're drawn to that person, right? Okay. Anything else for Leo? No. Okay, let's go for Cancer. And Cancer's got the 8th house. So Cancer, Cancer Sun, rising and moon in the 8th house. So you've been through it. Cancer can relate, right? Cancers can relate. They've had Pluto in the 7th house for 15 years, so they had to deal with Plutonian people. I know a Cancer, in fact, Cancer rising that had to. And she was always trying to fight it. She was trying to fight it. She was in conflict with everybody, right? But it's all about integrating. No, that person just showing me myself, an aspect of myself that I have to integrate. So Cancer, it's going back, right, in June to Aquarius until January. So back into your 7th house, I mean in Capricorn. So you have more time to polish up that issue. So Cancer in the 8th house, this is issues with major transformation, death, rebirth, regeneration will become more significant in your life. It doesn't mean that your life is going to be in danger, but you may experience death of people around you, and this is going to have a very important effect on you. So a death may radically change your life circumstances that make you confront the meaning of your own life. A reminder of your own mortality. Pluto does that, right? We're not on this planet for a long time. And your life concerns will become much deeper. So your priorities will become different than before. Before you entered the transit and after. They're going to be completely different. So you may get more involved in occult, right? Or teachings on death. Maybe you'll start reading the Tibetan Book of the Dead or volunteering at a hospice or something. You're going to be really drawn to that subject matter, and you won't be satisfied with just surface answers to your deeper questions. You want to get to the bottom of things, and you'll really be drawn like powerfully to explore the mysteries in life. And this can also affect the possessions and resources that you share with your partner if you have a partner, things that you own together. So not a good time to get a loan or go into debt because it will put you under someone else's control. That's Pluto, right? There's limitation there, the shadow of limitation there. And you may go through some kind of power struggle with inheritance, like with your family, right, through this transit. But Pluto wants you to break out of any kind of limitations you have in the 8th house. And this is like deep psychological stuff, like, jealousy and envy, all those. It's Pluto run. It's Pluto ruled house, this 8th house, right? So it's going to be a deep transformation for you, like on a deep level. So let's see what we got for. So it's accepting the process, right? The acceptance, the process that you're in. And the great thing, like Aries, is like really embracing the mystery of you, of who you are. This can be ancestral too, Cancer, like dealing with deep ancestral secrets and mysteries, like the skeletons in the closet will come out during this transit. Things you didn't know about your ancestral line. Okay, what do we have for our Cancer friends? That one right there. Okay. So this is rejection. Ego's rejection card. So deep issues around rejection and abandonment, Cancer, right? Being abandoned by a parent of your family. And so this is I'm going to reject other people. This is psychological, right? I feel rejected myself. I fear that other person will reject me, so I'm going to reject them first. This is a deep dynamic that Pluto is going to bring up for you. And so what happens is, as children, if we were rejected by the mother, this is ancestral wound, right? Handed down to you with the 8th house, is that our parent actually felt rejected. So they rejected you. They feared you rejecting them as a child, right? So they felt rejected as a child with their parent, right? So they reject you when you were a child, and you caught their pain. You caught their pain of rejection, and you're carrying it. That's what this card is saying. This is the 8th house issue that you've got to let go of. And what you're doing is you're rejecting your wounded self, right? Your wounded self, right? Yeah, and this keeps your relationships at bay, right? Because they're always like, you got your dukes up defending because you don't want to feel that fear of rejection. But it goes deeper, right? It's connected to your mother and your grandmother and your great-grandmother. And this Pluto transit's going to bring that up, right? And ultimately, it's the feeling rejected by God, like feel like you're abandoned by God and you're just an orphan here on this planet. You're going to dig up all that stuff, right? Yeah. That's a powerful transit for Cancer because it's Pluto run, right? Okay. And let's go for Gemini. Geminis. And that's in the 9th house, right? Yeah. So Pluto in the shadow of limitation for Gemini rising sun moon is happening in your 9th house. And this is about your overall worldview is going to change radically. So it can bring in a crisis. Pluto can bring in a crisis in your life that's going to destroy your worldview, right? So you see the world black and white, all good and evil. Well, that Pluto will come in and just shake that up. All your belief systems are going to be up in the air, right? But your worldview will deepen. You'll see the gray areas now. You'll see like you're down in the valley. Now you're going to come up in the mountaintop. You're going to have an elevated view of the world, right? So this is the blinders. Remember in the 3rd house, right? With Sagittarius, right? It will expand, right? It's going to expand, right? Your worldview and your optimism, right? And then you're going to gain a new wisdom that you didn't see before. So it's a maturation process for you, and it's going to make you a better human being, right? So it's important that you learn from each experience you have during this 20-year transit, right? And because, right, the worldview, it's a limit. It's limiting your worldview. This is what Pluto wants to break you out of. So it's going to help you, like, to really learn from my experiences, right? We're here to we're souls having human experiences. What did I learn through that experience? Write it down, contemplate it, go deep. Pluto wants you to go deep. And this is going to be extremely useful, right? Because then you'll be moving into Pluto in the 10th house. So, right? So this is a 20-year transit. And it's about humanity, right? Because Aquarius rules humanity and the future, So you'll be drawn to more profound subjects to study, and you'll learn from the people around you, and you'll learn where you fit in with the collective Aquarius, right? So learning about me to we, that's the equation. We're moving from the language of me to we, right? With the collective. And so you'll see where your role fits in to the wider context of the whole. So you may turn to an organized spiritual group or religion, but religion's an institution, so it's not going to last, right, in this new sleeping phoenix global cycle that we're in. But for you, it's about you having a direct experience with the divine. Religion is a believing in someone else's experience of the divine. Pluto is saying, no, you have your own personal experience of the divine. So Pluto will bring you downloads. It will bring you wisdom, but it's not coming through reading a book and through the mind, right? It's going to come through the crown, right? The crown chakra. This is divine downloads. And it comes through your experiences. So occult studies will interest you, Gemini, and your experiences will be profound and powerful. And Pluto wants you to expand your mind, right? This is the right side of the brain. This is the feminine part, right? It's like opening up your mind. So it's important for you not to get fanatical or obsessed with your experiences, because you may turn into a preacher, right? Getting up on your soapbox and telling everybody how they should live their life and what they should believe, right? And think. You don't want to do that. But it's your conviction and your passion, right, that will persuade people. But don't get attached to them listening to you or not listening to you or not believing you or believing you. Let other people have their own worldview. You may get involved with a movement or a group that wants to transform society, but not in a revolutionary way. It will be kind of slow. It's like nice balance, right, with the Aquarius and Sagittarius energy. So Pluto may cause difficulties with you getting all self-righteous, right? With all self-righteous, or the law, right? So troubles with the law will come when you get into that position of self-righteousness, like not considering other people's ideas. I know the way, no, right? This is my belief. This is my religion. Then that will attract to you troubles with the law. But if you stay open-minded, Pluto won't have to confront you in this way, right? So it's accepting the limitations, right? The limitations of you would learn the limitations of law that we're in right now on our society, because they're not aligned with divine law, right? So it's about just staying open-minded, Gemini. And you're a Gemini, right? That's going to be good for you. Mutable. So let's do a card for Gemini. And really digging out those beliefs, because the ninth house is beliefs. Like, what are the beliefs that are limiting me? Pluto will dig those up. Because maybe you are in a religion already, Gemini, and you think it's the be-all, end-all. Well, Pluto will show you, will expand your view. Oh, this religion isn't humanitarian. It's not Aquarius, right? It's tribal, right? That will be blown up. Okay, right? We love our own, but we hate everybody else. That's not a good group to belong to. Anything that's separating is not a group you want to belong to, because they're projecting their group shadow onto other groups. It's tribal consciousness, and it's being eliminated from humanity. Okay, what do we got for Gemini? What do we have for Gemini now? This one here? No, this one. Oh, it's perfect. Okay. So the ego card is you must agree with me. This is cancel culture. So this is to be aware of seeking validation from your point of view. Pluto's not going to let you do that, right? Seeking validation, to be okay with your point of view, right? There's almost 8 billion people on the planet, and each one of us has our own unique point of view, right? Our own unique point of view of the divine. So you don't need another person to validate your point of view, because it's unique to you. They're not going to have the same point of view as you, because they're not you, right? And don't cancel people. Don't go into this cancel culture. Well, I'm canceling that person over there because they don't have my point of view. They don't believe what I do. It's to remain open-minded, right? It's diversity, right? Diversity and unity. Unity and diversity. That's the Aquarian age. Yeah. And this is just the ego being insecure, right? I need to validate this experience. Oh, and then I can feel okay about it. Then it's real. It's real because it's your experience, Gemini. So that's what you'll be learning, right? What's limiting? These limiting beliefs you have to let go of. Okay. We're getting close. Okay. This is Taurus. And Taurus is in the 10th house, the bulls. So this is major, major change for the Taurus, rising sun, moon. Because you'll want to, this is about ambition, right? So it's an important time in your life. You want to achieve more than you've ever before. And Pluto's going to awaken your ambition. So you aim to leave a legacy, and this is your time to do it. But you need to know who you are and what your life is about. So you've been through this 9th house already, right? For the last 15 years. You know your beliefs got completely shaken up, right? Your worldview got shaken up. How you see the world, right? From that elevated perspective. But if you don't know who you are yet, and that's okay. Well, if you haven't found that out, then this is the time to do it. You'll be supported by Pluto to do this. And Pluto will give you the power to achieve your life goals or the insight to know what your life goals are. So you have the opportunity for great success, right? And if you don't know your goals, your path will change. Your career will change, right? Your jobs may change a lot to what you're supposed to be doing. This is the house of the soul purpose, right? So Pluto can make you want to control and dominate others, and it can be really ruthless to get to the top, the ambition, right? Stepping over everybody's head to get to the top. So it can make you throw away your humanity or become a ruler. This is the shadow, right? And others won't follow you if you take that approach. Remember, it's the Aquarian age, right? It's the collective leading the collective. This hierarchy is not going to work anymore, not in the sleeping phoenix, the time of the sleeping phoenix. So you'll have a fall from grace. Pluto will rip you down off your pedestal, right? If you take that approach, this old way of ruling and controlling and dominating. Because Pluto energies are too powerful to play games with. So you want to follow the rules and pursue your goals fairly. Don't take shortcuts. Don't be ruthless and cutthroat with the 10th house, Pluto in the 10th house. And if this transit alters your direction, don't get discouraged, right? You'll go through lots and lots of changes and you'll come on the other side as a different person. So you want to take your time finding the right course if you haven't found it already. And if you hurry and try to control this energy with your ego, you'll end up in the wrong place and you won't fulfill your potential, right? If you go out of fear. But if you're patient, you'll fall into the right place and you'll be successful, right, with the 10th house. So let's see what we got for Taurus, the card for Taurus. So letting go of what limiting you, right, in terms of your soul purpose. And what it means to be a leader, Taurus. Maybe the idea you have in your head of what a leader is and what success is, like look at your definition of success, like Capricorn with the 2nd house, it may have to change. And Pluto will show you where it's creating a limitation for you. Okay, so what do we got for Taurus? What do we have for our Taurus friends? This one right here. That's perfect. Control. You got the control card. So I see because Pluto brings such massive transformation and change, trying to control that. I'm not ready for that. I need to control the pace of how fast this is moving or how slow it's moving. I need to force it, right? Or I need to put the brakes on and slow it down to watch this. This is the ego trying to control your destiny and your soul purpose. And remember that when the time comes, right? Trust the timing of life. When the time comes, then it means that it's correct for you, right? It's the right time for you. Or if it's not coming, also trust the timing that it will come, right? To be patient. Yeah. And then trying to control your emotions, because as soon as we come face to face with our soul purpose, immediately we have to face our deepest fears. That's just how it works, right? Our deepest fears. So not trying to control what's coming up emotionally, because Pluto will bring like great fear maybe of stepping forward, right? That's the house of the public, Taurus. And it can bring up ancient memories of being persecuted, you know, when you were different, right? You were a healer, right? Persecuted with so many mystics and witches and wizards, right? The persecuted can bring old memories of that coming up. So it's not trying to control. Oh, I'm feeling so much fear. It means that it's not right. It's like, no, the fear is just coming up to be cleared, right? So that you can step into the light, right? Step into your light, into your soul purpose. What else? Yeah, let go of control. And don't be afraid of being out of control, right? Don't be afraid of being out of control. It's about surrendering, right? Taurus, from the mind into the into the solar plexus, right? Felt perception. No more strategizing like the cross of planning. Okay. And who's left? Aries. Aries. So Aries is in the 11th house, right? And this is Aquarian ruled. So this is big changes with your friends, right? So changes in long-term hopes and plans for the future. And the kinds of people that you call friends, that's going to radically change. And the activities that you once enjoyed, that's going to go through changes. And so you may decide that a goal that you held so dear at one time, you're not going to pursue it anymore. It's not going to interest you, right? Your ideals will change. So your friends will change. You'll come into like what friends are limiting you. What goals are limiting you to reach your highest potential. The groups and associations will change. Maybe before your friends were like easy to get along with. They agreed with everything that you said, right? They supported you. Maybe they were superficial, right? Super superficial. Well, now you want intensity with Pluto in the 11th house, and people will confront you, right? You'll have deeply emotional encounters, and they may not be pleasant, but they help you grow. So these are not casual encounters that you're used to from the past. So one friendship in particular, Aries, may change your life at this time, completely change the course of your life. So you may meet somebody that acts as a teacher or a guide or a mentor. So be aware, because we're talking Pluto here, of following a powerful, persuasive person, because they could lead you somewhere that's not correct for you. Because your desire to have intense experience will be strong, like off the charts. So just be aware of that, like being associated with a group or a movement that wants real change, radical change. They got their placards, but they're ruthless, right? They're ruthless. This is the Pluto energies, and they could be dangerous for you. So you want to go towards people that want to make positive change in the world. It's not just about destroy and violence and anger and that, right? You want to be with groups that want to create positive change, right? They're not just after power, right? They're just not after power. So shallow, old friendships, they'll go under during this transit for the Aries, so that new ones can be formed, the more intense friendships. So what's the end game here is letting go of the friends that are limiting you. Pluto's going to help you transmute that. And then transformation through friendship is your end game, and the regeneration of your goals, your true goals, right, for Aries. And let's see what the card is. 1818. Aries friends. What card do we have for our Aries friend? This one's jumping. Ego Doom. Wow. That's the best card in this whole deck, is the Ego Doom card. So this is about this transit. You're going to really discover a big ego trap. So maybe look at these goals, these long-term goals that you've had so long, and the hopes for the future. Where are they coming from? Right? This card is saying, Aries, that they're coming from Mr. Ego, right? They're coming from the ego. But let's go even back further, right? Coming from this ego, that voice in your head that you believe is you. Remember, the out of all the zodiac signs, you have to deal with this the most, right? Channeling this ego. So this is about Pluto busting this ego out, right? The ego ruling them, setting out the goals. This is your goal. This is your long-term vision, right? This is your hopes and dreams. This is what you want. And maybe it's a very negative, right? Maybe your hopes and dreams are like more of on the negative side, Aries. Life's never going to get better. This is the ego. It's always going to be like this. Your friends are always going to betray you. They're never there for you. They're not supportive. There's no good people in the world. Hope, right? Just be hopeless. Well, Pluto is going to bring him out into the light, right? Bring that ego into the light so that you can see it. And finally say, this voice is not mine. It's not mine. It's a foreign entity. That's what this ego is. This isn't my truth, right? This isn't my truth. So the commitment, how does this happen, right? Well, it's following your intuition, Aries. It's following your intuition in your heart. That's what you follow. Don't go into your head. Soon as you're in this space, you're in the ego space, right? You're at a lower frequency. You're in that negativity. The ego loves that environment. It's swimming in it. It's thriving in it. As soon as you go into your heart and listen to your intuition, your frequency is going to rise, and the ego can't live in those higher frequencies, right? Yeah. So beware. That's what this saying is, to beware, and don't let the ego choose your friends. Let your heart and your intuition choose your friends. Just because that person's got, 1 million followers on YouTube or something, and they see they're doing world tours and lecturing and this and that, the ego's like, that's somebody to glom onto, right? That would be a good friend. Don't be listening to the ego. Listen to your heart and your intuition. Maybe that perfect friend for you is, just ordinary, like this ordinary person, right? Maybe like, a single mom, right? Maybe she's got a little side hustle, but she's a really good person and she's perfect for you and she's deep, but she's understated, right? The ego's going to look at that and say, what? She's got nothing, right? And judging her. But she could be like the perfect friend for you, Aries, like deep, like super, super deep, that could confront you, right? So this is what's like, don't get fooled with the friends. Don't let your ego choose your friends. Let your intuition and your heart choose your friends. And so beware, the Ego Doom card says, beware of the closer you get to your power, to your authenticity, right? That's your real power is your authenticity, your vulnerability, the essence of who you are, the more vicious that ego gets, right? With its tricks, right? The more vicious that ego becomes. And that's always a good sign. That's when you're up at night in your head, right? Your head can't go and you're projecting garbage and negativity on other people, or you're listening to the garbage and negativity about yourself that's putting you in this depression and this hopeless state, right? That's the vicious ego attacks. But yeah, it's saying to just stay in your light, right? And the friends are going to show you the Pluto. You're going to transform through your friends. So watch who you're attracting into your life and who's going, right? Who's going? Maybe that friend you thought was so loyal and good, Pluto's going to show you, like the mask will come off and you'll see that friend for who they really are, right? Like just stuff like that can happen too through a Pluto transit. I'm very excited for Aries getting that card. Okay. Okay, everybody. So thanks for joining me. I got to scoot because I got to take my dog for a walk before it gets dark. It's almost sunset. But I'll be back again for the full moon in Libra. That's in the shadow of unease, the gift of clarity, and that intuition. Speaking of intuition, right? So it's going to be a powerful full moon too. So I'll be out with that. And then please join me for the Soul Purpose webinar, right? I did a write-up for it, but it's going to be really, really good. And it has to deal with your shadows. It will deal with your own unique chart. So I've got little videos that I'm going to send each person, plus the greater webinar. We'll have meditation, exercises. You'll have homework to do. It's going to be very rich and deep. Okay? So that's April 2nd, the 8th. If you can't make the time, it's recorded. And so you'll have permanent access to it. So I encourage you to join in with the rest of the folks that are committed to moving forward on the soul purpose. Okay, this is the time that we're in. Okay, so I'll see you soon. Satnam Aloha, everybody.